get anything diagnostic from there. While I do that though, David wants to say good afternoon, and he's with elephants just like Sydney was.
Hello everyone, and it's a bit tricky sometimes when you see the eagles when they are juvenile. That's always a stage when they could be a bit confusing, but I'm sure Tristan is very good in birding. He's going to figure it out and know what exactly type of snake eagle it is. Well, my name is David, and good afternoon everyone, and with me on camera today is Archie. It's a very warm welcome to a drive. I'm on the other side of the Mara while Tristan is on the other side. Well, very nice to start with elephants on such a lovely day in terms of weather. The light is just perfect, not a single drop of rain. The elephants are just walking there, and it's a small family with the young ones. And remember, our safari drive is always very interactive. So your questions and comments give us lots of happiness, and I'm sure you know how to send them. Bremen, very good. You're the first one to ask the question, and I was just saying on how to ask questions. I'm sure you all know on Twitter, #SafariLive, or you can keep following us on the YouTube chat stream. Well, Bremen, I'll tell you, the African elephants, to me, have slightly larger ears than Indian ears, other than the Asian elephants. As you can see there, what Archie is showing you. And in every part, or in every body organ, I would say, or body part of an African elephant, it's big by any standard. Talk of the ears, the tusks, you know, the legs, the trunks, the tails. I personally think that the African elephant is bigger by maybe 10–15%. I'd be happy to hear what Tristan and Sydney would say, but ideally, I would say they're big. And Braven, still looking at that ear, I remember when we were in college, we used to make jokes that to tell them apart from the obvious differences. As you see, that one doesn't have a tail, and that's not going to be one of the differences between the African and the Asian elephant. While in college, we used to make jokes that to tell them apart, males of the Asian elephants have tusks, and the females do not have. And the African elephants, it's both sexes, the males and the females. But above all, coming back to your question, Braven, if you look at that ear there, we used to say the ear of an elephant, or the African elephant's looks, or the takes the shape of an African map, and the ears of the Asian elephants look like the Asian maps. I do not know whether that makes sense, but that's what we used to say while we were in college. Now, as temperatures are warming up, what these ellies will keep doing is to keep flapping their ears. I'm sure we all know the cooling of the blood is done around the ears. So that young calf there, who you will guess could be going to about 3 years of age, because you can see that young or the small tusks coming out. She just uprooted a whole plant for herself. So anytime they try to bring something out of the ground using their trunks and it doesn't work out, they'll always give it a small nod or small knock using their feet, and that one helps to bring it out. Now they got all their ears out, as I was saying earlier, just to help cooling off. Sinak, good question, and always very happy to hear your name, Sinak. Well, the people around here have respected the elephants very much, and unless, Sinak, there's a drought and we see the elephants getting outside the game reserve and going out and terrorizing the locals. I'm talking of the elephants going to their homes, not their homes per se, going to their gardens and attacking or eating their crops, Sinak. Ideally, they have a very good relationship between elephants and the locals. The biggest challenge, Sinak, here is between the hippos and the local community, and sometimes the buffaloes. We have what you call human-wildlife conflict, but we have lots of game rangers who will always come around and educate the locals on what to do and not what to do. Should they spot, for example, elephants from a distance and they think they're going the direction towards their villages or their homes, they have what you call community wardens who they report to, and the game rangers will come and push them back to the game reserve. Lovely. My plans today, I don't want to look for lions, I want to look for the black rhino, but Archie spotted a very useless bird. And I'm sure as Tristan is working on his bird, at one point, I'm sure he'll come back to me to show you one very special bird that Archie just spotted. But in the meantime, let's go first back to Tristan.
Well, our bird, unfortunately, is not helping things at all at the moment. It's really not kind of playing the game. It's stayed exactly the way it is. But what I can tell you is that it definitely has a very yellow eye and a black beak, which is the right kind of diagnostic features for that kind of bird, but so does the black-chested. But it just doesn't look right to me for a black-chested youngster. It's so tricky in this particular part of the world. Also, the short-toed eagle also looks quite similar. So I don't know. I mean, could it be? I was hoping it was going to fly after it ruffled its feathers a little bit just now. I was hoping that I was going to see it actually take off, and then we could actually get a better sort of look at it. But it really is tricky to kind of see a lot of definition. It's also against the light, which is not helping at all. What you can see, though, below it is a giraffe head. So while we're kind of hoping that the bird will move, we can discuss giraffes a little bit. You can also see there's a lot of heat haze. So I was saying that it's fairly warm in the sun today, and it's probably the warmest day we've had in the last week. And that will make things probably a lot drier, which is good for us. But the problem with heat is it often brings about a lot more sort of torrential downpours in terms of rain. And so, you know, I'm hoping that we don't get rained on this afternoon, except that I do want the olololos to start moving. Oh, tricky. Kathy, exactly. So you'll often see bark spiders. They use ballooning quite regularly when they build their webs across roads. So they'll often use ballooning to do that. And that will attach then to the other one from one side of the road to the other, and that will allow them to then kind of develop that web and be able to spin it. And you'll often come across it at night, and it should be a good time of year for bark spiders. Now that we've had a bit of rain, the guys should start seeing them early in the morning. You'll often come across them, or just as it's the sun, or just after the sun is set, you'll find them. And it's amazing how fast those bark spiders are able to spin their webs. All right, well, we'll leave our eagle there. It's unfortunately not decided to fly. I'm going to keep an eye out where the lions are, not far, so hopefully it flies towards us at some point. Maybe some of you got some screenshots, and maybe we can figure it out. I don't know. Let's try and see what we can do. There's unfortunately no road that goes any closer, so we're a bit hamstrung in that regard. But it sounds like David is also doing a spot of birding, and he's found something delightful to show you.
Well, from one maybe raptor to another raptor, but I'm sure at one point we are going to establish which bird that is, and screenshots will make us maybe sit tonight during dinner, and we're gonna compare notes and find out who she is. But we have one here that is an eagle that is in black and white. You do not mistake the secretary bird for any other bird. She's very unique in every shape and form. How she is designed, her body morphology basically, she is very different from all the other birds. Well, I call her the ground eagle as much as she is now on top of a torchwood tree. And she's one of the most beautiful birds of that size that I would say. I don't know what Archie thinks, whether it could be a favorite for him, but eagles of this size, this is my favorite one. And they tend to spend most of their time on the ground. But we are now more convinced than ever before that they got a nest there. Sharon, how are you today? And you're saying you adore Secretary Bird. I agree with you 100%. It could not be anything better. Sharon, think of this bird when she walks on the ground. I'm sure you've seen her on the ground. They're very majestic when they walk. And the feathers, how they stick out behind their heads. And you see that tail feather there? It is very unique. It doesn't remind me of the peacock, because when she got her wings out, she doesn't look like a peacock. But that tail, when the tail feathers, when they're out, they make her very, very good looking. Well, she's an eagle, as I said earlier, and she spends most of the time feeding on the ground. And we call her the secretary bird, which I think is French corruption of Arabic secrétaire, which means a hunter's bird. So many birds will eat snakes, just like exactly what Tristan had. But these ones, to me, are experts in eating snakes. Not experts as snakes being the main diet, but is how they kill them. You'll see them tramping on snakes, you know. They have a skill on how they bring down the snakes. They walk very majestically in the grass, and the moment they spot one, you see them leap just like that, like a savo cat, step on it and using the other foot, and ding, 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 and they kill it. And interestingly, more often than not, they'll always swallow these snakes live. Well, there were two on that tree. Let me see if we could be lucky to see the other one. And as I found out whether there could be two or the visuals could be good, we'll take you back to South Africa, to Sydney, who got some very huge mammals.
So the eels are now starting to come out to the clear space. You can see that they are not deep in the thick bushes anymore, but they are still concentrating on some of the thorny trees. Now they are feeding on one of the Vachelia, which is the acacia. This is the biggest I have seen so far, and not very far away there is even a little one. This one might be the female, which is nursing the little ones. If you look at the trunk when it's trying to pick up some leaves, you will see that this trunk does not have the knobs. Sometimes elephants, you will see the trunk having some kind of knobs on it. When it's having the knobs, it is a sign of a milk deficiency. Normally, you will see those kind of knobs by the small ones. If the mother dies when having a lactating small one, if that small one is not going to get a lot of milk, you will see the milk deficiency in the sign of the symptoms will be the knobs on the trunk. So, but elephants, they are so very social in such a way that the other lactating females can also nurse the little one when the mother is dead. So the little ones, they are going to be, Lisa, the elephants, they eat quite a lot. The elephants eat approximately 400 kilograms a day. And from the 400 kilograms they eat, they're only just going to digest 48%. And 48% is too little. So that is why the insects, my favorite insects such as the dung beetles, they prey on elephant dung because there is quite a lot of whole nutrients available in their droppings. So their droppings looks very much green, and if you open them, not finally digested and rich in terms of water. So if you check there, you will see that I can say that is true. It is quite a lot. So it's a sign to us that elephants needs quite a lot of vegetation to survive. So it is punishing the elephants, having the elephants in the area which is not having a lot of trees and a lot of grass for them to eat. So, and they drink 150 to 200 liters a day. So it's not only about the trees, there must also have to be quite a lot of water availability so that they can be able to digest the trees nicely. Some people will tell you elephant has got a poor digestive system, but I don't think they've got a poor digestive system. That is how they digest. They've got to defecate after every 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes, you will see the droppings coming out. So that is clear that they do digest the food, and this food has to come out after a very short period. So you can see now it's time to eat the grass. Child of the universe. Fortunately, the thorns by the trees don't really affect the elephants. The inner parts of the elephant mouth is adapted to eat these kind of thorn trees. So thorns are nothing compared to the spines. Elephants eat the sickle bush. Sickle bush is a spined tree. A spine is that modified stem which has got some of the leaves growing on them and is very hard. Sometimes you can even punch your tires by driving over the elephant dungs. That is how strong the spine is. So it's not ideal at all to drive over the elephant dungs. But apart from running away from the thorns and the spines, by this time of the year, after the heavy rainy season, the dung beetles are back. And some of the dung beetles, they feed from underneath the droppings. And as I have indicated earlier, they prefer the elephant dungs. And because of that, they stay underneath the elephant dung droppings. So you must have to avoid driving over the elephant dungs by all means. Otherwise, you are going to kill the significant insects such as dung beetles, who are here in order to facilitate a lot of decomposition in the bush. So you can see that a very big animal can easily hide behind these bushes. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara, where David is waiting also to take over.
Well, very good, Sydney. And talking of dung beetles, I have always noticed dung beetles prefer more buffalo poo to make the balls, or the dung balls, than maybe elephant dung. I don't know what Sydney might think. We have gotten ourselves a small herd of buffaloes here, and they're taking advantage of the grass now, having all the migration or all the wildebeest gone back to Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. This is the African buffalo. It's a herd of males and females together.
So you can see that these elephants are slowly moving much more towards our side. I can see that some of these head members are slowly making their way in. It's just that they are being kept busy by these trees. They are getting excited with the nutritious trees. So I'm just going to try and pull forward a little bit as the big one is now approaching a nice and very clear space. So we're going to have a good sighting from there. Here they are, nice and close. So you can see that they're just coming from the mud bath. A child of the universe. The trees is just that a lot of people, they give different terms when it comes to the chemicals produced by these trees. Some will tell you the trees, they release a tree phenol in order to regulate browsing. Some will tell you they produce something called a proanthocyanidin. And some will tell you the tree produces a tannin. All these things, they serve a same purpose, which is regulation of the browsing activities on these trees. So you can see that now these elephants are feeding on the grasses, not only specifically feeding on trees. So it's a confirmation of a fact that elephants are bulk feeders. They are not even taking the grasses completely from the ground. Sometimes when there's a shortage of food availability, you will see them taking the whole plant and shake it in order to get rid of the sand before they take the grass to the mouth. But now they are just taking the top part, every time taking the top part, which is something good. So this shows that elephants, they do play a significant role when it comes to the stimulation of the growth by the grasses.